Every year, we see rookies drafted and think, wow, this guy's going to take someone's spot. But in reality, that's true for maybe 1 to 2 rookies if you already had holes on your roster, or somebody gets injured. For the Ravens, in recent memory, guys like Nate Wiggins, Zay Flowers, Kyle Hamilton, and Tyler Linderbaum come to mind. Notice anything these guys all have in common with each other? If you aren't a first-round pick for the Ravens, you don't have a guaranteed spot as a starter. And even then, guys like Wiggins, Hamilton, and Owe were worked in on a rotation to start. Of course, there are guys who were not first-round picks that have become serious impact players, like Tavius Robinson, Travis Jones, Isaiah Likely, and Brandon Stevens, but that's not always a realistic expectation. With that said, we're going to take a look at the rookies from this year's draft and see who falls into the 3 categories of starter/eventual starter, rotational impact player, and depth/practice squad member. Let's get to it.
Ravens Flash Report.
Welcome in, everyone. This is Jordan with Ravens Flash Report, and while I am excited for each and every pick the Ravens made in this year's draft, I am not delusional enough to think they'll all make a big impact for the Ravens in year 1. So let's start the sorting with players that, as of right now, I don't see making a big impact and will probably fall into the depth/practice squad group. Offensive guard Garrett Dellinger, cornerback Robert Longerbeam, and offensive tackle Carson Vinson. These 3 are not here because I don't think they won't make the roster or I don't believe in their development. They're just simply too many guys to all fit on the roster. That being said, Vinson and Dellinger are experienced offensive linemen, and Longerbeam is a capable corner, and those are position groups that the Ravens can't seem to get enough of. In all honesty though, Carson has a lot of potential, but needs some more development before I feel comfortable with him stepping into a starting tackle role to protect Lamar Jackson. The same goes for Dellinger, who faced a higher level of competition at LSU than Vinson did at Alabama A&M, but coming off an injury and stepping right into a starting guard spot on the Ravens' offensive line, which already had its fair share of ups and downs last year, seems unlikely to say the least. As for Longerbeam, he did have 37 pass breakups in 53 games with the Scarlet Knights, including 21 over the last 2 seasons. But as it stands now, we currently have Humphrey, Wiggins, Awuzie, Armour Davis, and Tampa ahead of him on the depth chart at cornerback. Not to mention Bilal Kone, who was drafted before him. Only 34 spots in the same round, mind you, but there must have been some reason the Ravens chose Kone first. If Longerbeam shows out in camp and preseason, or there is a rash of injuries, please no, he may see the field in a rotation or on special teams, but he's at the end of a long list right now, even in that position that you can never get enough of. Moving on to the next group of guys, we have the rookies that I believe can be rotational impact players. This group includes wide receiver LeJontay Wester, cornerback Bilal Kone, defensive tackle Aeneas Peebles, and linebacker Teddy Buchanan. Of this group, I do think that Kone probably sees the least amount of action, and he's in this group mainly because cornerback is a position that is prone to injuries, especially with guys like Jalen Armour Davis, who, despite being drafted in 2022, has played in only 19 games and started in 3. Kone has the size and speed to develop into a rotational piece for the Ravens secondary, but he still sees most of his snaps on special teams this season, in my opinion. LeJontay Wester has already shown a spark in rookie minicamp, and will definitely be in the competition for starting punt returner, if not both returning duties. He does also have some serious quickness to his route running and cuts, which could mean we see him at times in the offense. But with Flowers, Bateman, Hopkins, and Wallace ahead of him, alongside possibly Devontae Walker, I wouldn't count on Wester's offensive snaps being very high during his first season. Aeneas Peebles, on the other hand, will definitely see snaps on the defensive line, not only due to the losses of Michael Pierce and Brent Urban, but also because he's a dog, and the Ravens could use his pass rushing abilities on obvious passing downs to complement guys like KVN, Nnamdi, Owe, and Green. If Peebles has a solid camp and can show that the explosive feet and punch that he had in college can translate to the NFL, the Ravens will find spots to get him in where he can definitely make an impact. Teddy Buchanan is in this group, but has the potential of moving up into the top group based on a couple of factors. The first is, of course, his own play during camp and preseason. How well does his athleticism translate to the NFL level, and can he be as effective in coverage as he was in college? The second factor is based on the play of linebacker Trenton Simpson, and whether or not he can establish and hold on to the starting weak side linebacker position next to Roquan Smith. The best case scenario is that Simpson can indeed elevate his game to read and react appropriately to the defense, and Buchanan becomes a solid and effective backup, as well as a tackling monster on special teams. But in the event that Simpson isn't capable of playing at the level necessary, we'll have to hope that Buchanan is at least partially ready to step into that role, or at least on a rotation of sorts, to make up the difference. The final group is the one that everyone gets excited for, the starters/eventual starters. In this group, we have offensive tackle Emory Jones Jr., edge Mike Green, safety Malachi Starks, and kicker Tyler Loop. Let's go ahead and get the obvious one out of the way first. With Justin Tucker being released earlier this week and the Ravens having drafted Loop with the 186th overall pick, it seems pretty obvious that he is the intended starter at place kicker for the Ravens in 2025. Now, even though Tucker was coming off his worst season statistically in 2024, let's not immediately assume that Loop will be an upgrade in every way. I do believe that despite his success in college at connecting on long shots, including a 62-yarder against Houston, John Harbaugh and this Ravens coaching staff won't ask too much of him early on. Having said that, though, Tucker did hit a 48, 51, and 56-yarder in just his second game back in 2012 versus the Eagles, so who knows what the coaches will ask of Loop in his rookie year. With how effective this offense can be on fourth down, it will probably be an in-game situational decision when it comes to letting Loop loose on a longer attempt early in the year. With Emory Jones Jr. being sidelined early with a shoulder injury, which the Ravens have labeled it specifically a labrum issue, his participation with workouts isn't expected until training camp. If he does return at that time fully healthy and ready to go, I don't see why he won't be able to immediately push Daniel Faalele for the starting right guard spot along the offensive line. As an experienced right tackle who played over 2,400 snaps in 37 games against some of the best competition in college, I won't be surprised if at some point Jones doesn't take over at right guard during the season, if not right at the start. With nearly as much length as Faalele, better movement, and a more violent approach in the run game, I could see the drafting of Emory Jones being an upgrade for this offensive line in 2025. Mike Green should also improve the Ravens in 2025, but not by protecting quarterbacks. By now, many of you are aware, or should be, of what Mike Green brings to the Ravens and the production that he had in college. But what I want to look at is how his inclusion into this defense will help in more ways than just getting after the opposing quarterback. So many people focus on an edge's ability to sack the quarterback, they seem to forget about the edge's ability to, in fact, set the edge. Mike Green is an elite level tackler and explosive at getting into the backfield. Therefore, he meets both criteria for the position. One of the most underrated free agent signings before the 2023 season was defensive end Jadeveon Clowney, and it's not just because he got 9.5 sacks, but because he was so good at setting the edge and eliminating the threat of a ball carrier getting outside and up the sideline. I feel like we missed that in 2024, but no one's talking about it. If Mike Green can set the edge anywhere near as well as Clowney, it will force guys back inside to the middle, and when that happens enough, I can guarantee that Madubuike will feast. The other most exciting thing about Green's game does come from his pass rushing ability, and it's something that Cole Jackson from the YouTube channel Road Graders spoke about, and that's his ability to not only get into the backfield, but to make the tackle when he gets there. So many times over the past few seasons, we've seen pass rushers do all the hard work of beating the guy in front of them, and then they get all the way to the quarterback and they whiff completely. You would think that since Lamar Jackson is the most difficult quarterback to sack in the NFL, practicing against him would prepare you for anyone else you play against, wouldn't you? Well, with Mike Green, either playing in a rotation or eventually starting, I expect a lot of impact from one of the most anticipated rookies in the league. And finally, we get to the Ravens' first-round pick, safety Malachi Starks. I can see Starks' journey to a starting position being somewhat similar to Green's, in that I think he works in more of a rotation sort of role early on before eventually becoming the second safety next to Kyle Hamilton. Also similar to Green's situation in the pass rush room, I think this secondary benefits greatly from having the ability to line up guys like Hamilton, Humphrey, Washington, and Starks himself just about anywhere they want them. And while it's true that Hamilton's best work is closer to the line of scrimmage, and therefore it would make sense to see Starks work more as the free safety and playing deeper on the field, but both of these guys are so versatile that we could see them line up all over the field. If Starks can play the free safety position as well as the Ravens coaching staff believes he can, seeing as they spent a first-round pick on him, We should see this defense improve drastically, and particularly with limiting big plays. Several times last season, the entire team was put on the back foot due to a blown coverage in the secondary. And while those blown coverages were typically by either Marcus Williams or Eddie Jackson, Starks' coverage ability and sure tackling will be a definite boon to defensive coordinator Zachary Orr and the team overall. There are, of course, plenty of ways that the rookies in this year's draft class can make an impact and help the Ravens in 2025. But as I see it now, and before the camp, this is how things play out. If you guys did enjoy this video and are looking forward to seeing these rookies in action, hit the like button. If you're new around here, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out when I post new content. Also, put the name of the player that you think will have the biggest impact for the Ravens in 2025 down in the comment section below. And as always, guys, stay safe out there and go Ravens.